to Tucker Carlson tonight. For the past 14 months, you have heard two main things about the war in Ukraine. The first is that the war in Ukraine is a war of national sovereignty. It is not a proxy battle between superpowers. Russia invaded Ukraine. That was immoral. The United States supports Ukraine because the United States supports democracy. But the United States itself is not at war with Russia. This is Ukraine's war to fight. The second thing we have heard over and over again is that Ukraine is winning that war. Ukrainian troops are brave and noble. Russian troops are evil and incompetent. The Ukrainians are beating the Russians. In the end, their victory is inevitable. Now, you're very familiar with these points because you have heard them every day since last February. You've heard them repeated by every power center in the United States, the Pentagon, the White House, the leaders of both parties in Congress, CEOs, and celebrities. And most insistently of all, you've heard them from virtually every single outlet along the entire spectrum of our national news media. These are the two essential themes of the war in Ukraine, and both of them are lies. We know that they're lies because late last week, leaked intelligence about the war in Ukraine began to appear on social media. Briefing slides prepared by the U.S. government began to show up, among other places, on Twitter.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone has a string to be pulled. AMERICA4NACATION. Californication, AMERICA4NACATIon. Tucker fraction. He said turd right off the bat, you know. Let's see if we can get him to say it. It's called a Freudenscheid. It's like a oops.
Itself is not at war with Russia. This is Ukraine's war of things about the war in Ukraine. The first is that the war in Ukraine is a war of national sovereignty. It is not a proxy battle between superpowers. Russia invaded Ukraine.
He just said turd. He just said turd. You heard it on Fox. He just said it turd. Can't get it to go there. See if he says it. Won't go any further than 6 seconds. Let's see.
Heard two main things about the war in Ukraine. The first is that the war in Ukraine is a war of national sovereignty. It is not a proxy battle between superpowers. Russia invaded Ukraine. That was immoral. The United States supports Ukraine. The first is not Ukraine. The first is that the war in Ukraine is not a. The first is for the past 14 months, you have heard two main things about the war in Ukraine.
He said turd.
The first is that the war in Ukraine is a war of national sovereignty. It is not.
And the algorithm makes it difficult to go all the way back to 2 seconds. But, mud puppets. Arise, mud puppets. Don't believe a word I say. But, you know, I was going to talk about sex, but don't believe a word I say. I was going to talk about sex, and it was entertaining, but don't be a word I say. In the Bible, they say fornication is bad, right? Well, what is fornication? Is it the media going on and on and on and on and on about stuff like, please, you know, it's this thing is worse than crack, right? Everyone's addicted to something, right? What am I addicted to? Well, I've gone through all of them. And being the Aquarian that I am, I just taste them, you know? And it doesn't mean, like, I spent 10 years tasting the corporate hedonism of the desperate lawyers, 10 years, 260 pounds on top of the 100 or the 240 I already was. So I was getting up there. I was almost ready to explode. Oh my God, he's going to explode. Look at this guy.
Introducing the electric drill shears attachment cutter Nibbler.
Ooh,
The
Nibbler.
must-have tool for every... Vivek Ramaswamy joins us now, 2024 GOP presidential candidate, Strive Asset Management founder, author of Nation of Victims. Vivek, if you were the president, would you be on
Nation
this
of
Irish
Victims.
trip right now?
Yeah, you got to actually keep your eye on the ball. And I think that, Brian, this is just a symptom, a small symptom of the broader failure of the Biden.
This is Fox, and this is Brian Kilmeade.
He has his eyes on the wrong place. When in fact, foreign policy, really domestic policy, it's all about prioritization. So you know what? They have their eye off the ball when it comes to China.
Oh, God, when it comes to China. Please, help me.
In relation to this. And, the kind of earthquake of his candidacy is going to rumble through from April 2023 to November 2024. So it's going to be a major factor in any case. And there's been a lot of different things thrown around. We were onto this early. And frankly, I knew he was going to run. I had information that he was going to run. And so I've been anticipating this, but still to see it happen in real time is a totally different matter. So we're watching this kind of take off. And it is the Democrats who are flipping out about his candidacy. In fact, you will find that there's a lot of room in the middle for agreement between Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Green Party, whatever it is. And he has a lot of his own to him. So he's maybe he will be kind of this legacy.
The Russian military's covert installation in the Luhansk region was uncovered by the Ukrainian intelligence service. Vladimir Zelensky, the commander of the Ukrainian state, was responsible for the mobilization of Ukrainian special forces and the organization of a large-scale operation against the covert Russian base in the Luhansk region. During the operation, 237 Russian soldiers were killed, and the operation also resulted in the destruction of a significant amount of ammunition belonging to the Russian army. Following its invasion of Ukrainian territory on February 24th of the previous year, the Russian army constructed a number of Russian headquarters in the regions of Ukrainian territory that it occupied in order to strengthen its activities in the region. On the other hand, the Ukrainian army has been able to locate these Russian army headquarters and has been conducting frequent bombardments.
Blah, 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 blah. Goebbels, the head of propaganda for the Nazis, said the best way to mind control people is tell them 60% truth and 40% out kind of blah. So here we are, 10 minutes and 32 seconds. Nobody's here. Am I being boring? Is that it? I was going to talk about sex. Thought you'd all really like that, Sex. Even AI isn't here. That's how boring this is. That's how boring sex is, right? The thing that is more, a few minutes ago, I was saying that everyone's addicted to something. And I said, what is Sensei Albob addicted to? And I said, I tried them all. And they were all kind of boring. And the only thing that truly I have stuck with is love's unconditional. connection to the creative force. And when one is in co-creation with love, all things are possible. And that's why Jesus Christ is still here. He never went anyplace. Jesus had left, we'd be toast. Right? Let's see. I'm boring. Let's see if I can find somebody to talk to that's more interesting.
All I had was weed on me, Bob. All I had was weed on me, I swear to God. But these cops were paid off by the Jenkins that were pimping my wife out.
Who are the Jenkins? They're these little creatures that run around and make trouble, right? And this is the tweaker, one of Colonel Sanders' slaves. And, so that whole thing, right? That I could play that, but again, when I think of Colonel Sanders, Grandpa, Cockroach, the Tweakers, and et al., I basically think, please God, help them. They need help. Me being patronizing won't help. But they it's like watching a episode of The Simpsons and The Family Guy and Archie Bunker all rolled into one. And what's that? America's Dad and the guy who sold pudding pops and Bud of Father's Knows Best. So you guys ever watch Father's Knows Best? Bud, who was playing a 16-year-old, and he was about 20-something-year-old. He was virtually high on heroin virtually every day. And he did a great Bud, teenage Bud on heroin, She died. I mean, Dad, where's Beaver? Oh, that's another show. Where's Mom's Beaver? I mean, sex. Don't even sell, Oh, there's one of you. What do you think of sex? One person there. Anybody? Anyone want to throw something in the ring on sex? It's Sunday, it's a day of rest, so my brain is at rest, and everyone else is self-medicating. I did a little, I've been spring cleaning, getting ready for everything to bud out. It's already budded out. It's now leafing out, and in about 2 weeks, you won't be able to see anything. Oh, let's see.